Balake, where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Ron.
Ron is here, everyone. Welcome back for some more SPTV, where every day is a great day not to be in a cult. Every day is one step closer to the total collapse of the human trafficking cult known as Scientology. And every day is a bad day to be David Miscavige. Well, let's see. What are we doing here today? Guys, I have company in town. I unintentionally took a day off yesterday because there's just so much to do and so little time and so many things that I want to do videos about. And I figured instead of stressing, which I do, instead of stressing about which video I'm going to do next, what preparation do I have to do for each video, what video editing do I have to do on the clip that I'm going to share in the next video, and I figured, you know what? Let's just have a talk. We need to talk, you guys. We need to talk because it's the only thing I can force myself to take time to do right now, you guys. So let's just have a talk. There's so many exciting things going on. So many new stories being told. I can't wait to be able to announce the new foundation to everyone once all the approvals are gotten by the powers that be in the federal government. That's terribly exciting. Everything going on down on Hollywood Boulevard with William Gude and the TikTok crew is incredibly exciting. I'm going to do my best, you guys, to keep my eye on the live chat. This is just a chat. This is kind of a chat, a Q&A. There's a lot of things I want to talk about that you guys will jog my memory when I see people mentioning this or that. We could certainly talk about Chris Shelton posting on Facebook yesterday that anyone who he catches watching any of my content or supporting me in any way is going to be blocked from all of his platforms. The critical thinker at large throwing a little fit and essentially officially burying himself in the online Scientology space. We can talk about that, but probably not. So many things. And also, guys, there's so many videos that I want to do. There's videos that I need to do with Marilyn Honig and Natalie Webster and Reese and Sterling and a lot of other people who are getting ready to do interviews for the first time. And guys, there's so many people in the Scientology bubble right now who are recording conversations with OSA staff members and HCO staff members and ethics officers and registrars. And there are so many people in the Scientology bubble who are just accumulating recordings of conversations for when the day they're ready to officially leave, that they've got all these recordings locked, loaded, and ready to go, just like Reese did. Just so many exciting things going on. And I figured, you know what? It's also 1 p.m. East Coast time. Very rarely do I do kind of a casual chat at a time when the Europeans can join. So I'm going to do my best, you guys, to keep an eye on the live chat. By the way, if you have questions that you want me to take up, because that's really what I would like to do. I'd like to respond to a bunch of questions, use those questions as jumping off points for other things that I want to talk about. Put in your comment question in all caps, so it'll be easier for me to see. Just while I'm thinking about it, let me start commenting on William Gude and the TikTok crew, you guys. Oh, man, the more I think about what William and the TikTok crew are doing and how they're doing it, the more excited I get. Truly. Like, I was thinking about this for a long time yesterday, and I was thinking about all the ways that it could evolve and grow and become viral. And it just really is amazing. And I know there's a lot of people out there now who are picking up the torch and doing what William's doing. I got to tell you, I think one of the reasons that I relate or connect with William more so than all the others, it's kind of a presumptuous thing to say. I don't even know any of the others. Is because I feel like William and I have a little thing in common, which is that it's not even possible to get tired of doing this. It is not possible for William, for Scientology to do or say anything to William that would make him less motivated to do what he's doing. Now, I have said, partially in jest, but partially in truth, that one of the reasons I don't get tired of doing what I do, and one of the reasons I will never stop, is because I am motivated by pure revenge through and through. And that's a funny thing to say out loud. It's a funny thing to admit, but I say it because on some level, it feels true. The fact that David Miscavige and his regime and Scientology take their policies of enforced familial disconnection to the most extreme interpretation and the most extreme levels of implementation. The fact that Scientology and the people who are dealing with me in Scientology at the end there had it within their power to exercise judgment and common sense and do what was right and best, not only for all the individuals involved, but even for Scientology itself. And quite literally, it would have been best for everyone to just, let's not destroy this family. Let's not enforce familial disconnection. Let's examine this. Let's examine this with a critical eye, some common sense, and go, maybe it's best not to make more enemies than we absolutely need. Maybe we don't have to go out of our way to make enemies. Maybe we don't have to go out of our way to destroy families. Maybe spending your entire lifetime dedicating to helping a cause gives you a couple brownie points that we'll leave you alone if you leave us alone. I'm being a little long-winded about this. There was a very specific conversation that I had with the ethics officer who was assigned to me, who the interviews that I had with this ethics officer, Daniel was the name of the ethics officer at Flag. This would have been sometime around between 2012, 2013, 2014. I had a whole bunch of interviews with Daniel and also Kathy True at the Office of Special Affairs. And I basically said, look, you guys don't have to worry about me. Sure, I no longer believe in Scientology. Sure, I no longer want to do auditing or courses or anything, but that's okay. Who cares, guys? You leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. I even said, if you get one report, verbal or written report, from any Scientologists of me saying anything negative about David Miscavige, L. Ron Hubbard, or Scientology to anyone, declare me a suppressive person instantly. You don't have to worry about me. You guys do your thing, I'm going to do my thing. And they're like, let us think about that. No, thanks. We're going to take the option behind door number 2. We're going to proactively try to destroy you, your marriage, your family, your wife's family, your job, your wife's job, your kids' schooling. Now, we're going to go whole hog on this. And so when you see me and my channel and all the videos that I do, yes, I do them because they're helpful. Yes, I do them because I enjoy them. Yes, I do them for all my own reasons. But one of those reasons is pure, refined, unmitigated revenge. And part of the joy that I take in it is, look how simple it is. Guys, I do videos from home whenever I want. I'm literally just looking into the camera of my laptop right now. I've got a $20 light over there. I've got a $20 light right there. I'm not even using a professional camera. I mean, this sign might have cost me $100. I built the wall by myself just because I like how it looks. I'm doing this with nothing. And I don't know if you guys know, videos on YouTube make a pretty good amount of money. So not only does my operation cost me nothing, but it does generate money. And let's compare that to Scientology. Scientology spent like $100 million buying KCET studios in Hollywood just so they could make pretty videos to put onto YouTube and to put onto the website and to put onto their DirecTV channel. I reach more people with my tiny little shoestring operation that I do by myself from home. I got nobody helping me. I got nobody helping me with audio, video, edits. No one's even in my live streams helping me start comments, but I'm probably going to change that soon. Nothing. This is a one-man operation, and I'm reaching more people and getting the word out to more people about the destruction that Scientology wreaks on its members than Scientology does with its multi-$100-million operation and its slave labor force of 5,000 people who work for nothing. I accomplish more with this channel than Scientology does with 5,000 slaves and a multi-$100 million a year budget. Why does that make me so happy? Because I'm motivated by pure revenge, you guys. And you know what? You know what the best revenge is? Success. And that's actually what it really comes down to. Success is the best revenge. What does this have to do with William and what he's doing? William was never a guy who was going after Scientology. William has been a guy who records the police. William's original YouTube channel was Film the Police LA. And I think over many years, he had built his channel up to about 35,000 subscribers. And it just so happens he was filming a police interaction outside of Scientology's building on Hollywood Boulevard and Ivar Avenue. And the Sea Org security guards took it upon themselves to mess with William and try to interfere with what he was doing. They tried to physically interfere. They tried to get in front of his camera. And he's like, what is going on here? Everything William is doing to expose Scientology and interfere with their recruitment efforts and recruit others to do the same is stuff he's doing because of what Scientology did to him. And so, and it's not only, and then when William started doing this, Scientology dug into his past, dug into his story, dug into it, found out what happened with his son. His son had his life taken away. It's a horrible story. And then Scientology, live on camera, told William that if he was a better father, his son would still be alive. Now, in the same way that damn, it doesn't get much worse than that, you guys. It does. It's so nasty. It's it's so bad. And I'll tell you what, if Scientology ever had any shred of a hope that William might one day get bored or tired of doing what he's doing on Hollywood Boulevard, they made 100% sure William is never going to give up, never going to get tired of it, never going to stop. And I'm being a little long-winded about it, but that fact alone is why I just connect with I just connect with what William is doing in such a strong way, and how he's doing it. The fact that he's doing it in a way, whether it's designed to accomplish this or not, he's doing it in a way that reinforces the message so that nobody could ever mistake it. You don't have to be afraid of these guys. They are a paper tiger. I heard him use that phrase the other day in one of his videos, and I've used that phrase before as well. They are a paper tiger. They want you to be afraid. They want to put you in a frame of mind where they can intimidate you, they can back you off, they can make you think twice. Guys, William is impervious to that kind of stuff. And the fact that he's there doing it, showing up every day, every night, getting a bigger crowd, being more successful, and also exerting the kind of leadership and guidance and control that is necessary in order to make sure that an operation like this succeeds, which is not encouraging people to be violent, or warning people that the Scientology agent provocateurs are going to be here, and their goal is to incite us to do something for which Scientology can call the police and get, any of us charged or arrested or anything. So William's, been putting the word out. Don't show up to make trouble. Don't show up to don't do anything that you wouldn't do out here if you were out here by yourself. Don't think that you can get away with stuff because you're in a crowd. Anyway, I can be so long-winded about it. But I also want to continue to help promote and highlight any of the people who are out there on Hollywood Boulevard each night, contributing to this movement. I want to be able to highlight their YouTube channels. I want to be able to highlight their TikTok channels. I also, one of these days, I need one of these TikTokers to explain to me why it makes more sense to do TikTok than YouTube. I'm very, very curious. I've never been able to figure it out. I've never been able to figure out TikTok. I don't know how TikTok monetization works. I'm only familiar with YouTube. And any of you guys out there in the TikTok crew who want to have a chat with me about this, please email me at growingupinscientology@gmail.com. And happy to talk about it privately or publicly. It doesn't matter to me. But I just I respect everything you guys are doing out there just so much. Part of me wants to jump out on a plane and just join you guys out there. And I don't know if that would be a more of a help or more of a nuisance. But I'm dying to do it. I'm absolutely dying to do it. And one of these days I will. But I'd also kind of like to hear from you guys privately, whether that's something that would just sort of be considered a little bit of a distraction, or whether that would actually be helpful. Because if it's helpful, man, I'm happy to come out there, just, you know, a day here, a day there, or whatever. Let's see what else is there to talk about. I know there's a lot of stuff in the chat here, so let me just go through some stuff. Valerie Boljack, thank you very much. Tell me more. You can't drop Chris Shelton like that and not talk about it. Okay, I'll talk about this briefly. Chris Shelton put something on Facebook yesterday that basically just out of nowhere, like nothing has happened recently at all, just randomly out of nowhere. Anyone who supports Asmithlevin is not a friend of mine. And he said, anyone who he catches over on my channel, which is like, what does that even mean? Catches what? Like coming on a video with me, making a comment, being in the live chat. Anyone who he catches doing a video with me is going to be blocked on his platforms. Guys, I don't even know what Chris Shelton thinks the source of our beef is. He's never bothered to call me or file any official complaint with me or try to have a conversation with me. I'll tell you guys what my source of the beef is that I've never bothered to tell him. In the first Danny Masterson trial, after it ended, somebody put up a post on Reddit, a completely false post, that said that I did a video blaming Tony Ortega for the fact that the jury came back with a hung jury and a mistrial. Somebody literally put up a fake post on Reddit that I did a video blaming Tony Ortega for the mistrial. Totally false. That's the stupidest thing ever. It's like, doesn't even make any sense. And I never did that. In response to that post, Chris wrote like a 5,000 word dissertation about what a horrible, horrible person I was. Now you have to understand, before I stumbled upon this on Reddit, Chris and I hadn't had any beef. I mean, maybe over the years we've had disagreements or arguments or whatever, but last I knew we were friends. So then I see this giant post from Chris in response to something that anyone with two brain cells to rub together would know was a bullshit post. And if you're Chris Shelton and you pretend that you have two brain cells to rub together, and you're someone who's known me since 2002, you would think that you would pick up the phone and call me and ask me if there's any truth to this before you decided to write like a multi-thousand word dissertation on what a horrible person I am and how you've come to expect this kind of nonsense from me. Now, guys, I've had almost no conversations with Chris in the last 18 months since my YouTube channel has absolutely exploded. I'm not one who tends to chalk things up to jealousy, and I don't really with Chris. A lot of people do, and I don't know, maybe it is because I don't actually know how else to explain it. Chris is like that girl in high school who says, oh my God, I hate drama, but Becky is such a whore. Like, Chris is the drama queen. Have you ever seen this guy's Twitter feed? It's unbelievable. Have you? I mean, I don't want to spend more minutes talking about Chris than I have to. But the fact that Chris calls himself the critical thinker at large and behaves the way that he does on social media. My original beef with Chris, the original beef was the Reddit thing. The follow-up is when Chris Shelton and Tony Ortega interviewed the jury foreman for the first Danny Masterson trial. Okay. They interviewed the jury foreman, and the jury foreman, remember, the jury did not unanimously let Danny off the hook. It was a hung jury on all three charges. About half the jury was leaning towards conviction on each charge, and about half the jury was leaning away from conviction. And before the district attorney had announced whether he was going to try Danny Masterson again, Chris Shelton and Tony Ortega interviewed the jury foreman. And the jury foreman's opinion is that the Jane Does were all incredibly unbelievable, and no jury in their right mind could ever unanimously convict Danny Masterson. And one or more of the Jane Does asked Chris Shelton and Tony Ortega, please do not publish the interview until after the district attorney has announced whether he's going to retry Danny Masterson. And Chris Shelton and Tony Ortega told the Jane Does to shove it up their asses, whether they said that literally. I'm being figurative. They basically said, no, we're going to do this. This is a scoop. This is important. The Jane Does made it clear to Chris and Tony how hurtful this was to them and how upset they were that they were going to air this interview. And Chris Shelton's response was to block the Jane Does, to tell them, don't ever contact me again, block their numbers, block them on social media, treating them like garbage behind the scenes while publicly pretending to advocate for them and cheerlead for them and applaud their bravery and their courage, while in the background treating them like dirt and like trash. Now, if someone were to say to me, well, hey, Aaron, you do a lot of videos and they get a lot of views and you must be making a lot of money doing videos about the Jane Does and they're the ones doing all the hard work and you're the one getting all the benefit. Anyone in the media or on social media who does content about the Danny Masterson trial is in a way exploiting or benefiting from what the Jane Does have done. I'm very aware of that, which is why if the Jane Does ask you to do something for them, the only right answer is absolutely, without question. Okay? So my original beef with Chris Shelton started with this Reddit thing, but then when him and Tony started basically mistreating the Jane Does and pretending like everything was great publicly, I said, game over. You're done. You're done. And so just so you guys know, Chris Shelton, the critical thinker at large, has never, actually, he did send me a disconnection text about 1.5 years ago. He disconnected from me. And I haven't memorized. If I planned on this, I would have pulled it up, the screenshot. Aaron, you will never know how much you have hurt me or probably even care. We will never talk again. I hope it was all worth it. This is verbatim, you guys. I would say have a good life, but I truly do not wish that for you. Guys, in a later video, if I feel up to it, I will actually share the actual screenshot of that text so you guys don't think I'm making it up. Chris Shelton literally said to me, I would say have a good life, but I truly do not wish that for you. That's your critical thinker at large there, Chris Shelton. That's your critical thinker at large. Now you might go, oh my God, what did you say in response? Nothing. There's no response worth making to a text message like that. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So there you go. Tell me more. That's what I have to say about that. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. Red Tar for me. Have fun. Do epic shit. Don't die. Love you. It's an effing good time not to be in a cult is what I think you meant there. Thank you so much, Lori. Excellent. Excellent. Always good to see you. Arnie Van Halen. Who does Chris Shelton think he is? What a Nimrod. Well, I mean, Chris Shelton thinks he's the critical thinker at large, guys. If you're looking to hire a critical thinker, go find yourself someone who's constantly screaming his political beliefs into the void on Twitter. It's embarrassing. Okay, let's see. The Doodle Queen. How many more subscribers do you need to get to 225? Let's get you there on this live. Oh, I see what you mean. I was going to say, well, I'm already at 224. I need 232 more subscribers to get to 225. Oh, that's the other thing I actually wanted to mention, you guys. William Gude is very quickly going to become the biggest Scientology channel on YouTube. I mean, right now, I would say that I have the most subscribers of any Scientology related channel, and that's 225,000. William is getting close to about 150,000 right now. William is getting on average 4,000 new subscribers a day. Guys, I only got on average 100 new subscribers a day. William Gude, a guy who's never been in Scientology, a guy who's come out of nowhere, a guy who's starting this incredible movement driven by people who've never been in Scientology, is going to, I swear to God, I think in the next 4 weeks, become the biggest Scientology related channel on YouTube. And I could not be more excited to see it happen. I could not be more happy for him. And I hope 10 other channels pop up and have the same success, because guys, I really think we've reached a critical mass and a tipping point on this stuff. I see, here's in my heart of hearts, here's what I'm hoping will happen. Here's what I'm really hoping will happen. And this comes down to the energy and the ambition and the initiative of the young crowd whether it's YouTube or on TikTok. Here's what I'm hoping will happen. You guys remember after the Jeffrey Epstein thing, everyone nationwide for months and months and months and months, anytime anybody got in front of a camera on national news, they said Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself. It was just a thing. It was a movement. Young kids everywhere were doing it. I would love, I mean, I think this is possible, you guys. If the young crowd in this country, the young generation in this country, if the Scientology thing got so popular that kids everywhere nationwide, when I say kids, I mean like 30 years old and younger, 25 years old and younger, would say, revoke Scientology's tax exemption. Someone's being interviewed for the local news about, I don't know, a car accident. Revoke Scientology's tax exemption. Scientology's tax exemption needs to be revoked. It's that kind of a grassroots movement that I believe, I could be naive about this. What do I know, guys? I grew up in a cult. It is that kind of grassroots movement that just becomes so undeniable that elected officials, particularly young elected officials who understand social media, who understand pop culture, understand that some elected officials in Congress, representatives or whatever, can become folk heroes, national treasures by taking up this mantle of revoke Scientology's tax exemption, revoke Scientology's tax exemption. Some of these young people getting into Congress for the first time. What if their whole campaign was, I'm headed to Congress because I'm going to spearhead the effort to revoke Scientology's tax exemption. Guys, just like I was able to raise, when I ran for city council 2 years ago in Clearwater, just with my little YouTube channel, I only had about 40,000 subscribers back then. I was able to raise $70,000 over a 6-month period for my little tiny Clearwater City Council race because I was raising money through my channel nationwide. And everyone in the country wants to see Scientology's tax exemption revoked. Everyone in the country wanted to see Clearwater, Florida, have someone like me on the city council. And I almost won the election, guys. Even though the Clearwater political establishment, which wields a lot of influence and money, and Scientology were all working against me, full on against me. The local Clearwater establishment has been hopelessly compromised by Scientology's lobbying money. And so they consider people like me and Mark Bonker to just be clowns that they don't want to have anything to do with. They don't want to hear people shooting off at the mouth about Scientology at Clearwater City Council meetings. And so my point being, even a congressman in a state where there is no Scientology could run for Congress and say, my platform is revoking. I'm going to do whatever I can. I'm not going to stop until Scientology loses its tax exemption. That person would raise money from every state in the union, no matter where they were running for Congress. And anyway, I'm being a little long-winded about this, but when I see the TikTok stuff, and I say TikTok, but it is also YouTube. I mean, William primarily streams on YouTube, not TikTok. I know he does both, but his audience is much bigger on YouTube. And I see 40, 50, 60 people showing up every night on Hollywood Boulevard just to see what's going on. I just think of all the ways that this could evolve and grow and how the reach can get bigger and bigger and bigger. Because let's be honest, guys, this is a fight worth fighting. This is the real deal. Scientology really is an international human trafficking operation. It really is a fundraising scam. They really do destroy families. They really do. And guys, I'm pro-choice, but when you have something that calls itself a religion, shuttling its clergy members every week to the clinic to terminate pregnancies, I also know, even as someone who's pro-choice, how horribly offensive and disgusting that is. I know from firsthand experience how Scientology has tricked a certain portion of the religious community in this country into thinking that Scientology is somehow one of them. Guys, can you think of any other religious groups that shuttle their clergy members to the clinic every week to terminate pregnancies? Scientology shuttles so many of its Sea Org members in LA and Clearwater, Florida, to the clinic every week to terminate pregnancies that they've had to start picking different clinics. They've had to start sprinkling the business around to different clinics because even the clinics are like, what's going on here? I mean, it's just disgusting, you guys. So campaigning to get Scientology's tax exemption revoked is a very virtuous battle and a battle worth fighting. And the fact that platforms like TikTok and YouTube allow people to participate in that movement and actually get paid for the videos that they do, that's really what I mean, guys, when I say this is David Miscavige's worst nightmare. And William brings the same energy to what he's doing as I bring to what I'm doing. And it's perfect because I would never be able to pull off what William's doing. I really feel that only people who've never been in Scientology can really pull off what William is doing. You heard me and Liz Gale talking about this recently, where she said, I don't think I could do that. She said, I couldn't do that. And I said, I couldn't either. I could not do that. I'd be too wrapped up in my own head, too wrapped up into what the Sea Org members thought about a former Sea Org member doing that I feel like I wouldn't be able to be good at it. And that's why it's part of the reasons why I question whether I should show up at all, because I don't want to feel like I'm co-opting something. I don't want to feel like I'm stealing something. I do just want to help bring more eyeballs to it. Anyway, I'm blabbing a little bit. But when guys, okay, I'm going to look at the live chat. What do you guys think would happen if someone running for Congress, I will say Congress for now, because it's easier to get elected to Congress than the Senate. If someone running for Congress campaigned on the platform, whatever the normal platform items were, but said, and also my unique selling proposition, what separates me from everyone else running for Congress is I'm running on the platform of getting Scientology's tax-exempt status revoked. I'm not going to stop until that gets done. Would you guys support that person? How about this? Would you guys support that person no matter which end of the political spectrum they were on? Would you guys support that person no matter which party they were affiliated with? That's a question that would be very interesting. So let's say it was a moderate Democrat or a moderate Republican, however you want to define that. Let's say they weren't considered extremist, pretty, maybe even corporatist, whatever. You guys know what I mean. Centrist. No matter what party they were on, if they said that was one of their top campaign items, would you guys support that candidate, even if they were a member of the party you were not a member of? Oh, you know what? Let me see. I'm going to put up a poll. Let me put up a poll in my live chat here. Give me a sec, guys. I got to pull up my YouTube as if I'm a viewer here. Okay, let's see. Create poll. Start a poll. Okay. Here's how I'm going to word it. Okay. Would you support candidate from other party if platform was revoking SCN tax exemption? All right, guys, we got 3,500 people watching live. Let's see. I'll keep that poll. I'll let that poll run for a little while, and then we'll come back and see what it was. Because I don't know if you guys think I'm like, thinking way too far into the future, but when I see what William and his crew are doing, this is where my mind goes. Proving to elected officials that going after Scientology's tax exemption is something that would get a groundswell of popular grassroots support. And that at this point, you'd be crazy not to have that as your platform. All right, I'm going to let that poll run while we take up some other chats here. Don Spencer, fortunately, I escaped from Scientology in 1973. Was there an OT level referred to as the Wall of Fire, or was this thing only at that time? Good to see you, Don Spencer. The Wall of Fire refers to OT3. And OT5 is referred to as the second Wall of Fire. So yes, it's definitely still called that. Bessie Knox, pretty sure unmitigated revenge feels therapeutic. It does, especially when we consider that success really is the best revenge. And that is actually kind of what I mean. Because the YouTube channel is so successful, it makes me want to lean into it even more, because success really is the best revenge. And it's also why I do my best to help promote and platform and lift up other channels who are doing the same thing, because success being the best revenge, helping other people succeed, in doing what I'm doing and exposing Scientology abuses makes the success even greater and makes the revenge even sweeter. When I help other channels, that's something I'm doing. I don't feel like I'm doing someone a favor by doing that. I feel like I'm doing that to help myself. I mean, yes, I know it helps other people, but it helps myself to help other channels. It just feels good. And it makes what I'm doing here, it gives it a greater importance, greater than just me and my own success. Do you know what I mean? So like even helping other people, I guess it can be self-serving in the sense that it makes me feel good. But I know it's just rubbing David Miscavige's face in it even more. It was like, you see what you done, Dave? You see what you pulled in? You pulled me in. You pulled this in because you didn't have to destroy my life back then. You didn't have to destroy my wife's family. You didn't have to screw with our employment and our kids. You didn't have to do that. But because you did, this is what you get now. This is what you get. And not only do you get this, you get as many other channels that I can help get started or people that I can help convince to start channels. You get all of it. You pulled it all in, Dave. It's all your fault, Dave. By the way, okay, I'll keep that for a later time. Melody Murata, thank you very much. Let's see, Steve Jackson. If you had to guess, in your opinion, how long does Scientology have until it's done as a financially viable organization and completely collapses? Love the question. Steve, the answer is completely contingent on Scientology losing its tax-exempt status. Scientology does not pay any income tax. It does not pay any property tax. When you see a big, giant Scientology building, the only expenses Scientology has in relation to that building is water and power. They don't even have to pay their staff members. That when there's money available, staff members do get paid almost nothing. But you understand, those staff members don't even have to get paid. They're considered religious volunteers. So even if Scientology's cash flow completely dried up today, the only expenses they have is water and power. They make enough interest on their cash reserves to cover the utility costs to keep those buildings open, even if there's nobody in the buildings and even if there's no money coming in. So in order to really hurt Scientology financially, you have to get their tax-exempt status revoked. Revoking that tax-exempt status, particularly the type of tax-exempt status that they have, affords them a particular type of religious protection in the courts. You revoke that tax exemption, you also revoke that particular type of religious protection they have in the courts, and the floodgates are open on lawsuits and all sorts of stuff. So yeah. Now, how long will it take for the IRS to revoke Scientology's tax-exempt status? Guys, it depends on how much organic grassroots, popular culture pressure we can bring on the elected officials to demand that the IRS review and revoke Scientology's tax-exempt status. The IRS doesn't answer to the people. The IRS answers to Congress and the Senate. The Ways and Means Committee, I think, dictates the funding for the IRS. You hold the purse strings, you essentially control the organization. So there's particular congressmen or particular senators who are like the core people that really dictate what direction the IRS should take. There's videos I did back in the day with Mike Rinder where he sort of explained who those people were. I don't remember it well enough to try to rehash it right now. But short of knowing like exactly which congressmen or senators to write letters to, what's better than that? What's better than that is creating a popular grassroots movement that nobody can ignore. And in order to do that, the cause has to be taken up by the young folks. And the young folks are on TikTok. And that's why what Jessica Palmadessa and William Gude and Chris Without a Hellcat and Confident Chris and Snazzy Yodo and 5 other channels that I'm forgetting to mention right now, that's why what they're doing is so amazing. So amazing. Okay, let's see. Well, let's see what how this poll is going. Okay. How come I can't see the whole thing? End poll. Okay, the results of the poll are 72% of the 1,000 people who voted said that they would support a candidate from the other party if the platform was revoking Scientology's tax exemption. All right, not bad. Not a scientific poll, but a poll nonetheless. Let's see. Your brother Mo. Question: can you see the relationship between Scientology and the Nation of Islam lasting? Their beliefs on origin of life, race, God, etc., are totally incompatible. Mo, thank you for the question. What makes this hard is I would have said right from the beginning that it was incompatible, but that was 20 years ago. It was 20 freaking years ago that this partnership with the Nation of Islam started. I would have expected it to have crashed and burned already, and it hasn't. I still feel like it will eventually crash and burn. I haven't had an opportunity to speak with current or former members of the Nation of Islam who had exposure to this Scientology issue to get a really informed opinion on what it is that allows this relationship to keep going and what it is that could eventually lead to the relationship exploding, falling apart, blowing up. And because my opinion is not a very, very informed opinion, I only have the opinion from the Scientology side. And from the Scientology side, I know that Scientologists see the relationship as being advantageous to them because the relationship with the NOI allows Scientology to pretend like it has some sort of acceptance in the Black community. Even though Scientology is about 90, by actual statistics, 98% white, much whiter than the United States at large. And it allows Scientology to forward this propaganda that somehow Scientology is compatible with other religious beliefs, when of course it's not. But when you have members of the Nation of Islam who are also in Scientology, not only going clear, but also going OT, it does make it look like you can believe both things at the same time. When in reality, someone like a Tony Muhammad, at some point, he's only pretending to still believe in the Nation of Islam stuff if he's really believing in the Scientology stuff. Or he's only pretending to believe in the Scientology stuff if he's really believing in the Nation of Islam stuff. They're completely incompatible. So I wish I had a better answer to that, but hey, any members of the Nation of Islam or former members who had exposure to and involvement in the Scientology stuff, and you want to do a chat with me, even privately, I'd like to do it publicly, but if you even want to do it privately, hit me up at growingupinscientology@gmail.com and let's set something up. Thank you for the question, Mo. Oh, Steve Britton. Scientology was trying to get William to physically lash out. They could have used that against him. That's right, Steve. And William knew that. And guys, there was an incident a couple nights ago where a Scientologist, a new Scientologist who was clearly high on substances, showed up to the test center on Hollywood Boulevard and was screaming, shaking. He was screaming so loud and angrily and threatening, and he had a knife on him and he was spitting. And at first I was only watching it from William's camera angle. And yes, the guy was very close to the camera, but it's hard to truly appreciate how close that guy was to William's face until you see a reverse camera angle. And when I saw the reverse camera angle, I was like, oh my God, William is made for this. William did not even for a second flinch at this guy being right up in his face and screaming at him and threatening him, because make no mistake, that's why that guy was there. He was trying to provoke William into some sort of confrontation that William could be charged and arrested for. And William didn't even flinch. And at one point, William even turned his back to the guy. Said, everyone turn your back to Goofy over here. Turning your back on a guy who's being threatening and has a weapon on him is ballsy. And that's what William did. Scientology has lost. Scientology's already lost. They just don't know it yet. I can't say enough about what's going on down there, you guys. I just can't. Who? A fangirly 36. Hey, Aaron, love your channel. Watching every day. Love your dynamic with Reese. Hope you do more regular content together. Please, Christina. Yes, there's just so much going on these days. I mean, Reese and I were supposed to do something on New Year's Eve. I was out of town on New Year's Eve. We haven't done what? It's already January 7th. We still haven't done anything. So we've got to. There's so much more stuff for me and Reese to do. So stay tuned for that. Absolutely. Ernie Milo, the truth is the truth. Scientology is hiding all their lies. The TikTokers got it right. Can't compete with the truth. That's right. Absolutely. Liam, Aaron, it's important to make sure you take care of yourself during all this. Don't let these people up your stress levels. Just increase theirs. You're having a good life. You having a good life is a win. in and of itself. Absolutely. You know, one thing Scientology had turned me into is someone who's very used to dealing with very high stress levels. I know it's probably not healthy over the long term, but dealing with stress isn't something that gets me down. If anything, it motivates me. It gets me thinking. It gets me plotting. It gets me scheming. It gets me planning. And it may not be healthy. I don't know. I should go to a doctor and get myself checked out. Who knows? Maybe I have high blood pressure and I don't know it. I don't know. I do exercise a lot, you guys. I do eat well. I do get as much sleep as I can. I do take care of myself. And Liam, everything you say is I take to heart. But like I said, Scientology has created a Scientology resistant strain of virus in people like me and other former members, Sterling, Liz Gale, Serge Del Mar, Laura FM, and 10 other people I'm forgetting to mention. So apologies for that, you guys. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for the kind thoughts, Liam. I really do appreciate it. Oh, Pearl Snappy. Will the Austin org have body routers if and when it opens? We can only hope. We can only hope and dream. Some of the videos that I want to do today that I know I don't have enough time to prepare for them is a bunch of leaked videos from a new Austin staff member, meaning Austin's been bringing in people from all over the country to juice up its staff ranks. And I've been leaked a bunch of the internal videos that have been produced, the propaganda videos that staff members have been producing. Now, guys, don't worry. I'm not giving anything away when I say the thing was leaked by new staff members. One of the things that Scientology does that they can't help doing is they're always going on witch hunts. Okay. If you've ever been anywhere near staff or the Sea Org, you know Scientology is always hunting for witches. There's always someone who's the cause, the bad guy, the reason stats are down, the reason people aren't coming in, the reason this thing got messed up, the reason this thing broke. Don't worry, guys. Whenever you hear me or other channels saying where information is coming from, Scientology never knows if we're actually telling the truth or not. Maybe we are. Maybe we're not. They'll never know until they tear everything apart, hunting for the witch, and they do more destruction in the witch hunt. That's why they can't help themselves, you guys. They do more destruction by interrogating everybody on the e-meter and taking away days off and canceling vacations until they get to the bottom of who's leaking this and who's leaking that. So I'm only mentioning that because whenever you hear me or other people say where a leak is coming from, is that really where it's coming from? You never know. And Scientology will never know. And so sometimes it's just fun to say where a leak might be coming from. All right. Yeah, we can only hope that they'll have body routers, because if they have body routers, then that gives us the opportunity to put out the word and see who wants to, do a Scientology audit channel, an Austin Scientology audit channel. So we'll see, Pearls. We'll see. Marilyn. Yes, I've been telling Marilyn for 3 days, let's do a video today. Let's do a video today. And I'm so horrible at time management that I keep having to postpone. But hopefully me and Marilyn can, maybe we can do a video this evening. Aaron, we love your authenticity, humor, passion, and motivation. I get it. I'm motivated by revenge too. Hashtag Marlene Sweeney. Hashtag on the dung heap and loving it. Oh my God. I love it. Yeah, Marilyn, we need to keep increasing Marlene Sweeney's profile in the anti-cult community. Looking forward to doing that with you. Melanie Murata. I was in Battle Creek, Michigan for a month and didn't know there was a Scientology center there. Every time I drove by, crickets, no one there. Scientology is such a small community. I actually know Jeff Breedlove from the Battle Creek organization. He might even be the executive director at this point. Oh, by the way, one of the other videos I've been wanting to do that I haven't had a chance to do is the other day when Snazzy Yodo on Twitter recorded a 10-minute conversation with a Scientology security guard. I've been meaning to play that whole conversation and comment on it. One of the things that security guard claimed is that there are 30 million Scientologists in the world. When the real number is like 20, 25,000, 30,000 at the absolute most. If they said L. Ron Hubbard was coming back, we're introducing him in 2 weeks, and we're releasing OT 9 and 10, you could maybe get 30,000 people on the entire planet to show up to hear that message. And And this guy actually thinks there's 30 million Scientologists. Let me tell you, if there was 30 million Scientologists, all of us former Scientologists wouldn't all know each other or know, hey, oh, you know, Steve in Portland? Oh, Steve, yeah. You know, there's only like 10 million Jewish people in the world. And if you go, if I'm a Jewish person and I'm talking to a Jewish person like, oh, I live in New York. Oh, you know, Steve in New York? It would be insulting to think that just because a Jewish person lived in New York, they knew who Steve was. There's like, anyway, I'm being long-winded about it. So the fact that this Sea Org member claimed that there's 30 million Scientologists, guys, I think he actually believes that. I think he actually believes that. Anyway, we'll talk more about that later. Ruby, rugby. Oh, this is the other thing I wanted to mention. My friend George here in Clearwater, Rugby George of Clearwater. George is someone who's lived here in Clearwater for decades and decades and decades. He's grown up around Scientology. Anyway, he's a friend of mine. He's getting his YouTube channel started. We're going to do a ton of chats about Clearwater Scientology stuff. And Aaron, keep killing it. Maybe we can get William to come check out downtown Clearwater Ghost Town. He can draw a crowd and revitalize downtown Clearwater. Oh my God. We could totally do that. So the only challenge with having William come to Clearwater is the center here in downtown Clearwater, where they bring people in to show them the films and the personality tests. There's never anyone there. Like, there's no foot traffic in downtown Clearwater. So if William announced that he was coming to downtown Clearwater, and 50, 100 people showed up, the doors would just be closed. Like, there's so little foot traffic. Like on Hollywood Boulevard, they close those doors at 10 p.m. every night. And every now and then, like if Laura FM shows up, they'll actually close the doors. But they don't keep the closed doors all day. They don't keep the doors closed all day or all night. If William showed up, they would just close the doors and leave them closed because nothing happens here. But it would still be interesting. We'll have to figure out how to do something like that. Okay, let's see. Ginger, oh snap. What's your opinion on Scientology in the crowd videotaping along with everybody? Do you think they are posting to YouTube for money because of the affected cash flow? I don't think they're doing it for that reason, Ginger. I don't think that they're doing that. They're doing that because they literally don't know what else to do. They're doing that because Scientology has the time and the resources to try and identify every single person in the crowd, try to see if any of them have warrants, try to see if any of them owe taxes, have owed child support, try to see if any of them have cars pending repo. Scientology has the will, the desire, the time, and the resources, because they have nothing else to do, to try and make everyone who shows up outside of the test center regret having done so. The more people who know that that's what Scientology is doing, trying to do, and the more people who show up anyway, that's how we win and Scientology loses. That's how we continue to show them, no, you can't scare us anymore. It doesn't matter. We don't care. That your ship has sailed. You're done. You're done. Pack it up. Go home. You just haven't realized the show is over yet. So yeah, thank you for the question, Ginger Snap. Cindy, what? Aaron, dude, they're so jealous of the subs and the views you get. It is so clear. It does. It's hard for me to ever chalk something up as being motivated by something as petty as jealousy. But let's not deny that jealousy does exist and it is a factor. And when it comes to someone like Chris Shelton, it's probably a big factor. I mean, honestly, let's be real. Okay, Chemist says, thoughts on Serge's series on Mike Rinder and other executives. I know you worked with them, so feel free not to comment if you don't want to, sir. I think Serge is talking about stuff that is real and needs to be talked about. I think one of the only reasons I haven't necessarily participated in that kind of content or dialogue is honestly because I was attached at the hip to those folks through the Aftermath Foundation. So I had a bit of a responsibility not to sow discord where it wasn't wanted. And yeah, there's a lot of conversations to be had about the stuff that Serge is talking about. And believe me, those conversations are going to be had. more often and much more loudly. So stay tuned for that, chemist. Betsy Sue, have you done a video on Barbara Schwartz? I'd love to see your take on that. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I know a Julian Schwartz. I know a Fred Schwartz. I know. See, so Julian Schwartz is, a guy in LA. His father's brother is Fred Schwartz. I forget what Julian's father's name is, but I think Julian's father's passed away now. And Barbara, I'm not sure if Barbara's married to Fred or if Barbara's married to Julian's father. I just don't know anything about Barbara Schwartz. Betsy, so if there's something specific about this that I should know, just email me, growingupinscientology@gmail.com. Zoned Up. What are the boxes these weirdos keep carrying around? So in Scientology, they still very much use hard copy, physical, written, typed dispatches, reports, requests for approval, submissions. You'd think all this stuff would be digitized, but it's really not. Those box and that building on Hollywood and Ivar, not the test center, but the building, the Hollywood Guarantee building on Hollywood and Ivar, that is middle management. Okay. Now, and these written dispatches, reports, requests for approval, these packages of information, of paperwork, come into middle management from all organizations around the world. There's about 150 Scientology organizations all over the world. And when you see people walking around with bankers boxes with files, that's exactly what they are. Dispatches, reports, memos, requests for authorization for this or that, submissions. Also, right across the street from the Hollywood Guarantee building, across Ivar, on the other side of Ivar, that is the landlord office. That is the international landlord office of Scientology. That's where all the space planning occurs. That's where all the digital renderings are done. That's where all the fly-throughs are put together. That's where all the space planning, everything. And so if you see people walking back and forth with the bankers boxes, it could be submissions regarding Scientology space planning and building acquisition and renovations and all that kind of stuff. Now, you'd think the powers that be would just walk across the street and review everything in the landlord office. But, that's not how they do it. We don't come to you. You come to us. So all the paperwork has to be marched over and marched up to the higher ups who are going to do those approvals. Now, last night or yesterday afternoon on one of William Gude's live streams at the Hollywood Guarantee building, he didn't know it at the time. William Gude captured on camera two of Scientology's most senior executives, Ty Webb and Molly Hertling. Ty Webb answers directly to David Miscavige. He's been Miscavige's lapdog for 30 years now. Ty Webb was one of the masterminds, along with Jason Hemphill, of the multi-$100 million credit card fraud and identity theft fundraising scheme known as the Chase Wave. Ty Webb was personally responsible for this. If the federal authorities got their hands on Ty Webb, if a grand jury got its hands on Ty Webb, Miscavige would be done. Scientology would be done. And Ty Webb was shipped off to Africa so that he would be out of the jurisdiction of any authorities that would ever want to talk to him. William Gude caught Ty Webb on camera carrying a banker's box of documents, by the way. Ty Webb was walking behind Molly Hertling, and William Gude had no idea who he was capturing on film, and it was amazing. If you guys go to the community tab of my channel, I posted a screenshot of Molly and Ty, just to document that those two really, Ty Webb is back in the United States. Ty Webb is back in Los Angeles. Ty Webb is back in play, baby. So yeah, the authorities need to get their hands on that dude. All right, let's see. Alicia Medley, isn't it ironic that the scam of Scientology audits will be brought down by Scientology Audit? It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Angela Boo, thank you very much. Mary Sue Hubbard, CO Bilf. Aaron, if you run for Congress, I'll support you, but it's a lot of phone calls and asking for money. Oh, no, guys, I would never run for office. After I would never run for office again. The experience of running for Clearwater City Council it's actually the hardest I've ever worked in my life. I personally knocked on over 5,000 doors. And it allowed the Tampa Bay Times to write some very not nice and horribly inaccurate articles about me. And you know what? I don't need the headache. So it was not a lot of fun. And it was humiliating to have worked that hard and to have lost. It was nice to have almost won, but almost winning is also called losing. And it's one of the reasons I worked so hard during the campaign. I said, if I lose, I am going to be so embarrassed and so humiliated that the least I can do is leave it all on the table. Just so I can tell myself at the end that I could not have possibly worked harder. And it's true. I'd spend 4 or 5 hours a day knocking on doors. Yeah, no, I'm not going to be running for anything, but thank you. Angela Boo, thank you very much. Free Xenu project. Would it be possible to get a petition together to change L. Ron Hubbard way to Xenu way? It would be funny to see how many signatures could be gotten for that petition. It would be fun. It would be a waste of time if we're talking about like actual productive activity, but it would be fun if someone wants to do it just for fun. That would be interesting. All right, let's see. Clearwater Chad. I will go live for 10 hours the first day to support your new foundation. Guys, we've got I don't want to say too much, but we have a huge board. We have a huge board of many former Scientologists who you will all know and recognize, and some non-Scientologists who you will all know and recognize. And I really can't wait to announce it. So stay tuned. It honestly might, I don't know how long it takes to get the final approvals from the IRS. Could it be months? Could it be 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks? I genuinely don't know. But just stay tuned, guys. It's going to be awesome. Okay, TV, work at Hard Rock and got to support Will after work. Oh, got to go support Will after work. There you go. I mean, Will's what I watch every night now. I just tune in and watch. LJ Vesterpeel, AA Run. So many people talk about how generous, kind, helpful you've been, and we longtime subscribers have seen too. Glad you tell naysayers to kick rocks. Yeah, exactly. I mean, all you can be is yourself. All you can do is the best that you can. And if people got a problem with it, go have a problem with it. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for the comment. Nat Cat 180. The way you collaborate and uplift with other channels reminds me of OG YouTube. Keep up the great work, AA Run. Can't wait for your upcoming interviews and to support the new foundation. #End Scientology. Guys, the greatest thing about YouTube is that it's not a zero-sum game. Helping others, you're not helping others is just helping others. You're not even giving away a piece of yourself. Like it's like, I wonder why some of the other bigger channels don't seem to prioritize lifting up and helping to promote other channels. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. Because I just don't get it. People who say a rising tide lifts all boats. Well, then how come you're not helping to rise the tide? I don't quite get it. So anyway, thank you, Nat Cat. I appreciate it. Okay, Irrelevant Panda, call your reps and demand the revocation of Scientology's tax exemption. Yeah, I agree. Phone calls, letters. It might feel like a single phone call isn't a big deal. A letter isn't a big deal, and it's true. By itself, it's not. But 1,000 letters, 1,000 phone calls, and and it's hard. That's something that you can't push that kind of movement uphill. It's got to have its own momentum. It's got to have its own momentum. It's got to be rolling downhill on its own. And that's truly what I think TikTok, I truly think that is the opportunity that TikTok and YouTube represents, is creating so much momentum that you don't have to tell and beg and plead with people to write letters or phone calls. Everyone's just doing it because it's the popular thing to do. And in addition to letters and phone calls, whenever someone's on a podcast, whenever someone's on the news, whenever someone's anywhere, it's revoke Scientology's tax exemption, revoke Scientology's tax exemption. Even when it's got nothing to do with the conversation, you're being interviewed at a baseball game, revoke Scientology's tax exemption. It's going to be, it's going to be amazing, you guys. Bob Smith, RSTA. I don't know what that means, Bob. I don't know what that means. That's going right over my head, but thank you very much. Sam, my family is from Russia. How big is Scientology's presence there? What's their biggest European base? Thank you. Okay, so to the best of my knowledge, there is a Scientology organization in Moscow and St. Petersburg. I believe there is a mission in Kiev. I know that's not Russia, but still. And I believe there might be other, any Russian Scientologists or Russian former Scientologists who are still in Russia, who can actually give me a really good description of what organizations are actually opening. What are the thriving organizations? Yes, there's an org in Moscow. I know that. Yes, there's an org in St. Petersburg. I know that. But back in the day, when I was a good little Scientology staff member, we were told that there was like 100 Scientology missions in Russia. And at the time, I believed it, but it could have been BS at the time, and I just didn't know it. So let's see. How big is Scientology's presence there? The answer is not big. It's not big no matter what the presence is. It's not big. Their biggest European base, their European headquarters is in Copenhagen, Denmark. In Copenhagen, they have an advanced Sea Org delivery org that delivers the OT levels. They also have a continental management office called the CLO, the Continental Liaison Office. And they have a regular Scientology organization called a Class 5 organization. So their biggest European presence is in Copenhagen, Denmark. And even then, how big is it? I don't know. I've actually never spoken to someone from Copenhagen who told me how many Sea Org members were there the last they knew, or how many staff members are at the Copenhagen org. I'm just not actually sure. It's tiny though. And then of course there's the base in the United Kingdom in East Grinstead, St. Hill, East Grinstead, Sussex. And then there's the London org, but that's not Europe, obviously. Thank you, Sam. Happy Chickadee. Hi, Aaron. I've never been in Scientology, but experienced disgusting attacks by a person who used every fair game tactic against my animal work. Is this something Scientology does against people who've never been in Scientology? Chickadee, it's so hard these days for Scientology to target non-Scientologists just because of how many of them there are. Let's be clear. They'll do whatever they think they can get away with. They'll do whatever they have the resources to do. So if you think you're experiencing something, it's not that it's impossible, but if you're not someone who has publicly attacked Scientology in the press or the media, if you're not a media personality, if you're not a journalist, if you're not on a TV show, the chances that Scientology is actually behind some attacks on your work you're doing in your personal life is very small. But the chance isn't zero. It's just very small because I also don't know what your personal story is on the Scientology front. So they just don't have the time and the resources to go after everyone these days. They don't even have the time and the resources to go after all the former Scientologists these days. That's what's incredible. And just imagine how many man hours they're having to dedicate, how many Sea Org man hours they're having to dedicate to watching all of the videos from all of the SPTV creators and now all the TikTok crew and everything like that. Like, do they have time to go harass people's private businesses who've never been in Scientology? I'd like to believe they don't have the time to do that anymore. The chance is never zero. It's just not high. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Okay. Monthy number 4. You explained your beef with Chris Shelton so well. I'd love to hear more about why you and Tony Ortega don't get on. Thank you for all you do. Well, everything I said about Chris applies to Tony Ortega. Tony Ortega, my beef with him centers more around how a lot of former Scientologists are treated behind the scenes, how a lot of information is published without permission, how Tony gets people to confide in him because people think Tony is just best friends with Mike and Leah and at a time me. And like, I've heard Mike say something like I've been at parties where someone is complaining that Tony Ortega published something without permission. And Mike will say something like, Tony's a journalist. I don't know why people think Tony can be trusted beyond being a journalist. And I'm going, well, because everyone thinks Tony's your best friend. That's why people confide in Tony, thinking they're confiding in someone who's willing to keep secrets. But Tony's not willing to keep secrets, or he'll keep secrets for a cost. Meaning, if Tony gets I've known people who confided in Tony because they think he's a friend, and they think he's only listening because he's a friend, but he's listening because he's a journalist. And if he agrees not to publish what you're saying, he's only agreeing not to publish it for now. But I've known someone specifically who told Tony that they were getting ready to do a big story with a major media platform. And Tony goes, but I had your story first, so I'm going to publish it now. And the guy goes, well, I didn't give you that information to publish. And he goes, well, it's too bad. I mean, I have it and I'm not going to get out scooped. I've been keeping your story secret for X number of months or years, and I'm not going to get scooped. And the person goes, but I didn't give it to you so that it doesn't belong to you. I thought you were just a friend, like a shoulder to cry on. And look, I know there's a lot of secrets that Tony has kept. I know there's a lot of people's privacy that Tony hasn't violated, but it's happened so much in the former Scientology community, particularly the former second gen Scientology community. I've called him out for it so many times. It's gotten to the point, in my view, Tony is someone who capitalized on our stories for his own benefit. And Tony doesn't like the fact that we all now have our own platforms and can tell our own stories and can interview each other, and we don't have to go sharing everything with him. And that's all I'll say on it for now. It comes down to, I used to be friends with Tony. You understand? I used to be friends with Tony until I was at the receiving end of how he treats former Scientologists behind the scenes. And eventually it was enough is enough. So, I mean, there's so much more I can say, but that's all I'll bother saying for now. I appreciate the question. Devin Laura, I would do just about anything to see them pay their taxes in my lifetime. I'd vote for just about anyone who would get the job done. That's what I like to hear, Devin. Thank you so much. Dale Sieberling, what kind of slop is the Sea Org fed for meals? Do inmates eat better than the Sea Org. I don't know how inmates eat. I'll tell you this. This is an unpopular opinion. I actually liked the food in the Sea Org. I'm an easy guy to please when it comes to food. I can eat eggs every day. I don't care. I can eat chicken every day. I don't care. I can eat. So in the Sea Org, your standard, the food that you're going to eat more than anything else is eggs and chicken. I love eggs and chicken. I never missed a meal on the Sea Org. You can't separate me from food. You can't keep me away from a good meal. And it is all you can eat as well. It's like self-serve. It's like cafeteria style food, self-serve. You can go back for thirds and fourths. So like that food just keeps on coming. I just don't know how good the food in prison is. I can tell you this. The prison system spends more per meal feeding its prisoners than Scientology does. That's a fact. I've done videos about that. Other people have done videos about that. Scientology spends less money per person per meal than the prison system does. But also Scientology's workforce works for free. And I'm sure the contractors that are working in the prison system are well paid. Flag, Clearwater, Florida has better food than Los Angeles. Celebrity Center has better food than the other orgs in Los Angeles. But look, I worked at PAC on L. Ron Hubbard Way, and all I'm saying is I never had a problem with the food. I'm an easy guy to please. Okay, TV says, I could be your undercover if you needed one. I live a mile away from the Celebrity Center in Los Angeles, and friend is a higher up in Scientology. Say the word. I'm an actor. All right, TV, hit me up. growingupin Scientology@gmail.com. Let's have a little chit chat. What's this? Dan Douglas. Let's start the, instead of the Sea Org, we've got the submarine org. You sunk my battleship. That's very clever. I like that. Abigail asks, hi, Aaron. Reese and Sterling are going live later. I'd love to see you join them. Reese can do the hand gesture side effects now. So I'm eager to see you two together. Okay, let's see if mine works. Are my hand effects working? Also, have you talked to Tommy? Well, I talk to Tommy all the time. I'm not going to be available later, which is why I'm doing this chat video now. I've got company in town. I'm going to have company in town for the next few days. So I can only do what I can right now. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. If I happen to be available while they're live, maybe I'll pop in. Always good to see you, Abigail. All right, let's see. William Gunn. Will, I feel like it's been a while since I've seen you in here. When there is time, when there is someone like William causing trouble at an org, do staff sigh with relief that they don't have to take direct blame for the down stats? No, because believe it or not, the staff are still going to take the blame for the down stats. You're never allowed to blame down statistics on something outside of yourself. That's called the why is God. The why in Scientology, the word why is an official, it's like an official noun, a proper noun. And the why is God is a derogatory phrase for saying the reason my stats are down is God. God is the reason my stats are down. There was a hurricane. An act of God is the reason why my stats are down. Now in Scientology at the test center, they should adopt a new phrase. The why is will. For the Sea Org members at the test center, they're not allowed to say the why is will. Why in Scientology means the reason for something. So ironically, it's reversed. Because the reason the stats are down is because X. That's like saying the why is X. The why is God and the why is will. Both claims will get you in a lot of trouble. So no, those Sea Org members, in fact, it's why the Sea Org members, if they seem like they're getting a little more desperate, and they're gonna get more and more desperate because they are going to be pressured to get their stats up, and they're not allowed to say it's because of Will and the TikTok crew. So that's why things are going to escalate. Scientology is going to try to get smarter. They're going to try to get wiser. They're going to try to get craftier. And Will and his crew have to be even more vigilant in calling out bad behavior. Just so that it's on the record. By the way, if some clown shows up and does something bad, it's not Will's fault. It's not anyone's fault. It's the clown's fault. And so I just, so when I say they have to be more vigilant, it's not even because they're going to be responsible for anything that happens. It's just that they have to be more vigilant on Scientology's tactics. Scientology is going to try harder and harder and harder to provoke anyone in the crew into a confrontation. And they just need to be more vigilant and not take the bait. as they've been doing. They've been doing an excellent job. Okay, love it. Says threaten with a dog equals, oh, threatening someone with a dog is as bad as threatening someone with a gun in Los Angeles. Yeah, that guy better never show up again with his dog. That was, I don't know what that guy was thinking. Pocono Pluck, will they be able to ID the guy with the golden mask from that night? Oh, yeah. Scientology can use its cameras to follow people back to wherever they're going. And they have enough Sea Org members to just anyone that they want to identify. Scientology will always be able to identify anybody. Please don't. Nobody should show up thinking that they're beyond the ability to be identified. If you truly don't want to be identified, don't show up. That's my advice. Okay, Bethany Finn. If Scientology lost their tax exempt status, what would happen in downtown Clearwater? Would the buildings go up for sale? Would Clearwater get their city back? Clearwater, Florida would be the last place on earth that Scientology would ever sell property or give up property or anything like that. They will sell off properties in every city in the world before they will do Clearwater or Los Angeles. So, there's about, there's about 150 Scientology organizations in the world. Maybe 10 of those are in the Los Angeles area. Only one of those is in Clearwater. Only one of those is in Tampa. If Scientology had to liquidate property, Los Angeles and Clearwater would be the last place they would ever do it. So Bethany, eventually that would happen, but it would be like the last thing. All right. Thank you for that. Mischief managed. Did the shuffling of documents always happen? Yes. Or has it picked up due to court cases? No. No, Scientology's paper game has been strong since 1952. Blake Reed, always good to see you in the chat, Blake. Thank you for being here. Curb check. Hey, Aaron, do you think you will ever go on Joe Rogan? Yeah, I think I will ever go on Joe Rogan. That's my, you got to think big and think in futures, right? LJ Vesterpeel, joined live that could mutually benefit you and Matt Cox regarding fraud, or you and Dr. Grande. I love Dr. Grande. Regarding the Danny Masterson and David Miscavige's narcissism, one channel watchers would tune in and cross-subscribe. I don't know who Matt Cox is, but I'm a big fan of Dr. Todd Grande. I've never seen Dr. Todd do any collaborations with anyone. I haven't watched his stuff in a while just because he's kind of fallen out of my algorithm. Does he do collabs? Man, that would be so much fun. That guy is someone I like to point to as an example. If people are nervous about starting YouTube channels, I like to use his channel as an example of how any style can potentially succeed on YouTube if you find your niche. Is it niche or niche? I never know, guys. I grew up in a cult. I never know the right way to pronounce this word. And I'm a huge Dr. Todd Grande fan. If he ever wanted to collab, I would jump at that opportunity. G Fencer, do you think David Miscavige knows about the TikTok stuff? Yeah. Yes. David Miscavige is located in Hollywood. He doesn't work at the Secret of International Base out in Gilman Hot Springs, California anymore. He works at Scientology Media Productions on Hollywood, off of Sunset Boulevard, east of Fountain. I always get it wrong. So yeah, he knows exactly what's going on with the TikTok crew. And that's why Scientology is going to get more and more desperate to do something about it. David Miscavige does not put up with being clowned and punked by a bunch of no good, out ethics, DB crims like former Scientologists and the TikTok crew. So I expect things are going to escalate. Scientology, those guys are going to be under the gun to do something about this and fix it. Scientology has a phrase called handling the hell out of it. They also have a phrase called terminatedly handling it. So to handle the hell out of something is to terminatedly handle it, so that once it's done, it's done. It doesn't come back. It doesn't need to keep getting revisited. The problem doesn't keep recurring. It's done. I promise you, at the top of Scientology's agenda is figuring out how to get William behind bars. And if that means trying to get some of the smaller, newer creators in a situation where they're having to falsely implicate William for stuff, guys, Scientology is as dirty as it gets. Scientology will get as dirty and underhanded and criminally active as it gets. They will frame people for stuff. And I mean, I say watch out. I don't even mean watch out like watch out, guys. I just mean be aware. Be aware. Be astute. Don't fall for anything. I don't think those guys need to be told that. They know what they're doing. Okay, Mike 10 dude. Any idea how big it is in Canada? Off the top of my head, there's less than 10 Scientology organizations in Canada. There's Vancouver, there's Toronto, there's Edmonton, there's Quebec. There's more, and I know I'm probably forgetting some. There's less than 10. I would say there's less than 1,000 Scientologists in the entire country of Canada. That's my estimate. Okay, CO Bilf, Mary Sue Hubbard in the chat. Max Howry's Indie Center in Switzerland. Oh, is this an independent Scientology center? Max Howry's Indie Center in Switzerland might be bigger than St. Hill or Copenhagen. I heard he has 200 people on course at any one time. I find that so hard to believe that any independent Scientology organization has that many people on their mailing list, much less on course at the same time. But what do I know? That's sort of my personal bias shining through there. I'll tell you this, Mary Sue. If they have 200 people on course at any one time, then that would be bigger than any Scientology organization in the entire world, except maybe Flag in Clearwater, Florida. But I'll tell you this, even Flag in Clearwater, Florida, the largest Scientology organization in the world, I'm willing to bet, does not have more than 200 public on course at any given time. Now, because Flag is Flag, staff members from orgs around the world will come to Flag for training, and Flag's course rooms are usually filled up with those trainees called outer org trainees. I'm willing to bet money that there are not 200 paying public on course in Scientology's course rooms at Clearwater, Florida at one time. For what that's worth. Okay, Lori Nelson. Do you think the outcome of Leah's lawsuits will be the same as Marty Rathbun? A monetary settlement and agreement not to speak against Scientology. That was not what happened with Marty Rathbun. Marty Rathbun's lawsuit did not get a monetary settlement. Marty Rathbun's lawsuit was dropped. There was no official settlement. The money that Marty was given was dark money done behind the scenes that nobody will ever be able to officially prove. No. My short answer is no, I do not think that will be the result in Leah Remini's lawsuit. I think Leah will go all the way to a jury trial, unless for some reason the lawsuit gets thrown out. I believe Leah will go all the way to a jury trial. Because also, I don't think Scientology will ever be willing to settle with Leah. Now, maybe the last day, like let's say the lawsuit doesn't get thrown out. Let's say it's heading to court. Is there a chance that before they actually go to court, once Scientology realizes they have no option but to go to court, they have no other recourse, or no other cards to play, will they try to offer Leah so much money that they think she won't be able to say no? I don't even think they would. But they might. And I don't think Leah would say yes, because Leah's not doing it for money. And so, yeah, I think Leah's lawsuit will either get thrown out or it will go all the way to a jury trial. I think those are the only two possible outcomes. Thank you, Lori. Okay. Willem Vermeer. Exposing Scientology also undermines the power of other cults. Yes. And by the way, you just jogged my memory. Anyone who wonders, what can I do, who has a friend or a family member in Scientology? What's like the most effective thing I can do to start getting through to this person? One of my favorite pieces of advice in response to that question right now is recommend that they watch programs about other cults, because Scientologists don't secretly think that they're a cult. If you ask them to watch a show about a cult, they're not going to be secretly offended like you think they're talking, like they think you think you're talking about Scientology. Scientologists don't think they're a cult, and they don't think anyone else could reasonably think Scientology is a cult. So if you said to your Scientologist friend, "Oh my God, have you seen this new documentary about NXIVM? Oh my God, you've got to see it." That Scientologist will not be offended at the recommendation. They will watch the documentary, and they will not be able, as they're watching it, it will be impossible for them not to see the correlations and the similarities between NXIVM, which they will think is a cult, and what they've been doing. So any cult documentaries that you can recommend to your Scientologist friends, that's one of the best pieces of advice I have for how to start getting through to them. Blake Reed. There are your friends, and then there are journalists that talk to your friends that don't know they're journalists. Absolutely. Guys, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it until the end of time. When I'm speaking with someone who is on their way out of Scientology, the first piece of advice that I give to them is don't talk to Tony Ortega, period. And that's just advice. People can take it or leave it. But most people think it's safe to talk with Tony because he's a trusted friend. I don't know anyone who considers. I don't personally know anyone. Well, I should not make a general statement like that. Yeah, if you're leaving Scientology, don't talk to Tony Ortega. That's my advice. Okay, let's see. What does this say? Have you come to terms with the years lost to Scientology, or do you see it in a different way? Maybe just life experience. The last part of your sentence is what rings true to me. I see my time in Scientology as having been a very valuable life experience. I guess I was lucky that I got out of Scientology at a time in my life when I still had a hell of a lot of life ahead of me. What is anything in life but experiences that you're having with other people? My time in Scientology wasn't spent, tucked away in a secret compound. Like, I'm not one of these people who, by the time I left the Sea Org, I didn't know how to drive. I didn't, okay. I was essentially born and raised in Scientology. I was 4 years old when my mom got into Scientology. I was 12 years old when I was taken out of school and started working full-time for Scientology. How old was I when I actually had to go out into the workforce and get a job? When I was 17 years old, I left Scientology for a couple of years, moved to Hollywood, and lived my best life in Hollywood and Los Angeles for a couple of years with nothing to do with Scientology. That is when I first, without a high school education, went into a temp agency, did all their testing on their software programs and put a bullshit resume together, and started working for real companies in the real world through a temp agency. Temp agencies loved me. I was well-spoken. I was presentable, well-dressed. I could get a job in a heartbeat. And I got a lot of jobs in many heartbeats. So that was in LA. Then when I was 20 years old, I went back to Philadelphia to finish my Scientology contract. In Philly, I did the exact same thing. I went into a temp agency. I did all my testing. I had no problem working for real companies in the real world. I worked for Blue Cross Blue Shield, AmeriHealth. I worked for the Philadelphia Orchestra. I worked for a number of law firms. I was used to working in the real world. I knew what the real world was like. I didn't have some sort of an inferiority complex where I felt less than people in the real world. I bought my first house when I was 20 because I had perfect credit and I had a real job. When I joined the Sea Org, I was 22. I kept my house the whole 4 years I was in the Sea Org. When I left the Sea Org, I easily found employment at a business consulting company, a Scientology business consulting front group. From there, I was hired by a bunch of non-Scientologists who operated physical therapy clinics in Colorado and South Carolina. So like my time in Scientology wasn't spent tucked away in some mountain compound and I didn't know the ways of the world. So, and also my time in Scientology is what led to me having my 3 beautiful daughters that I have now who are almost grown up in their own right. My daughters are 17, 15, and 13. My youngest daughter is as old as I was when I started working full-time for Scientology. So, I feel like I have a very complete and full and fulfilling and satisfying life. And I don't look back on regret at my time spent in Scientology, but I know there are many who do, because everyone's traveled a different path in their own path. And yeah, that's what I'll say. Thank you. I appreciate the question. Okay. Betsy Sue, Barbara Schwartz thinks that she's married to Marty Rathbun. Monique's husband is imposter. President Eisenhower is an imposter. German Secret Service and Sykes out to get her. L. Ron Hubbard is still alive and active as of 10 years ago. Sounds like Barbara Schwartz needs some professional help. I hope she gets it. Carla A. William needs help with crowd control. He runs himself thin, doing both protesting and controlling the scene. Guys, these things just grow organically. It's not William's job to do crowd control. He's just there doing his own thing, guys. Everyone else is just showing up to William's party. Anyone who would like to volunteer to show up and productively help do crowd control, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. Like that's another example of how, like, the young crew, the TikTok people and their fans. If those if the fans of the TikTokers showed up to help keep things calm and keep things cool, that would be an amazing way to help. And I think if people let it be known that that's the kind of help that's wanted, I think that we'll get that help because people want to help. People really do want to help. Okay, let's see. Abigail. The reason I asked about Tommy is he's been having some health problems. If you haven't talked to him recently, I'm sure he'd love to hear from you. It might have been a week since Tommy and I have chatted, but we text and chat all the time. So I'll check in with him. I did see a short video this morning about either having gone to the hospital or something. So we'll talk, Abigail. Absolutely. Okay, let's see. Dale Sieberling. Ron, if Scientology is so quick to force abortions, do they not have birth control or condoms available? Do Sea Org get public assistance, food stamps? Dale, you would think so. Scientology does not provide any birth control. Scientology doesn't even provide its Sea Org members with toilet paper. Scientology doesn't provide its Sea Org members with socks or soap or shampoo or toothbrushes or toothpaste. The Sea Org members have to pay for that shit out of their $47 a week. And they have to pay for that shit at a little store run in the Sea Org building. And you would think that the Sea Org would sell these items to the Sea Org members at cost. No, sir. No, sir. These items are marked up for a profit. Scientology is making a profit on selling bare necessities to its own Sea Org members who are working 100, 110 hours a week for $47 a week. It's horrible the way Scientology treats its staff and its Sea Org members. Birth control? Hell no. And yes, Sea Org members are expected to go to the free clinic for anything that they need because Scientology ain't paying for shit. That's an example of just how horrible and stupid Scientology is. If they just took better care of their people, just a little bit better care, they would really probably almost never lose anybody. Let's see. SMT, can you join Scientology if you have a criminal background? Absolutely. Absolutely, you can. There's no rules against that. Okay, Route Irish. Ron, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but do you think that Scientology is allowed tax-free benefits because they are a CIA operation? Route Irish. I do not believe that has anything to do with it. Scientology is terribly paranoid about being infiltrated by any government agencies, including the CIA. But that's my opinion. I know there's other opinions, but honestly, any other opinions are just coming from conspiracy theorists. So there's no evidence to support that. And in the 30 years that I spent, I can tell you, no, Scientology is so paranoid about any government infiltration. There's just no way Scientology is a CIA op. But that would make it the perfect CIA op, is if nobody could ever think that it really was one. So I understand why conspiracy theories persist, because they're impossible to disprove. Jessica Vincent. That's great advice, Aaron. Watching the Aftermath TV show and going clear helped me realize that I grew up in a cult and start to heal, even though that cult wasn't Scientology. There you go. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you, Jessica, very much. Okay, let's see. What is this? Happy Chickadee. I publicly exposed a person for fake fundraising and stealing approximately $60,000 from animal work. I'm in the media, so exposing it got traction. Maybe these criminals weren't Scientology, but used their tactics. If so, Scientology causes further damage. Yeah, Scientology doesn't care about any social causes other than itself. So I would not expect Scientology to have any involvement or exposure in the animal care fields. There is a wealthy Scientologist in Clearwater, Florida, who made a multi-million-dollar donation to the local ASPCA, but that's Scientology as an official organization does not give a damn about anything outside of Scientology. So I really don't think Scientology would have been involved in anything to do with that, but never say never, I guess. Thank you, Happy Chickadee. Liam, when I was in Copenhagen last summer, I walked by the AOSH building. Beautiful building, no people. Yeah, I mean, that really could be Scientology's tagline. Beautiful buildings, no people. John Rafix. John, I give up. What are the odds, truly, that a huge organization like Scientology gets taken down? The odds are very high. By the way, they're not huge. There's maybe 20,000 active Scientologists in the world. They have a few $1 billion worth of assets. A few $1 billion might be a lot of change to you or I, but that's not a lot of change when it comes to large corporations, to be honest. And all you have to do is take away their tax exemption, and that few $1 billion gets whittled down pretty quickly with a couple large civil settlements. especially when you get to the punitive nature of civil settlements, where the whole goal is to inflict enough damage for it to actually hurt. And once you take away the tax exempt aspect of Scientology, you removed the reason that most Scientologists have to donate these large sums to Scientology. Realize back in the day when people paid Scientology money, they were paying for auditing or courses. These days, when Scientologists give Scientology money, they're just donating it for tax exempt reasons. Scientology makes only a tiny fraction of its money today by selling auditing and courses. When you hear Bob Duggan donated $300 million to Scientology, that's not for auditing and courses. When you hear Nancy Cartwright donated $50 million to Scientology, that wasn't for auditing and courses. That was for their building projects and for the IAS and for their legal war chest. When those donations are no longer tax deductible, those donations no longer get made. So that's how the math on that works. Thank you so much for that. Julia O'Connell, I'm glad you have helped so many get out of this awful cult. Well, it truly is my pleasure. Success is the best revenge, and success is defined as helping people out of Scientology and making the path out of Scientology easier and easier and easier, so that more and more people are willing to travel that path, willing to jump, make that jump, because they know there is help, there is support, there is a network, there's a community, there are resources, and success is the best revenge, and revenge is what we're talking about here. Thank you, Julia. Okay, Cretan Bowl 2021 Canadian Census reported 1,380 Scientologists. Well, there you go. I mean, that's totally in line with what I said, so that's awesome. It's good to see that the real census work has something in common with the informed estimates made by former Scientologists. So just more confirmation. Okay, let's see. Amy Lee, SP. Thoughts on that smiley spy who talked to Will? Oh my God, Amy, wasn't that the weirdest thing? As soon as that girl walked on camera, you knew that there was something weird going on there. And then I have no idea who she is. And look, for all I know, maybe it's just some crazy person who just seems like they're a Scientology spy. For now, my money is on the fact that that is a Scientology spy. But it just seems so obvious that you're like, what are you doing? Everyone knows who you are. Everyone knows what you're doing right now. But then you go, but if it was so obvious, would OSA be doing that? And you go, well, yes, because sometimes the most obvious thing is the one that people are going to discount. I don't know. It's like a inception, double inception, triple inception strategy that Scientology is going to have to start adopting. So the best advice is just be vigilant. Just be vigilant. Just be aware. Guys, this has been a lot of fun. I've been going for an hour 40. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up now because I don't want to keep ignoring my company. And this has been a lot of fun. Maybe I'll do something later this evening, maybe not. But either way, guys, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Thank you to everyone who watches until the very end, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not,